Hey everybody, I hope that you're all doing well today. So let's talk for a second about Star Wars: The Old Republic. And this, as I've mentioned in other videos, is one of my all-time favorite games. It's certainly one of my favorite MMOs. And I think the strength of this game has always been in its storytelling. This is a game where I've really enjoyed the class storylines so much that I keep going back and making new characters because I come up with a new headcanon for each character, and sometimes I want to try out some of the different combat styles, for example. And anyway, I just enjoy going back through and playing through the class storylines, multiple times in many cases. But there's always been one thing about this game. I shouldn't say always, since the early days, since they made a big change with companions, there's been one thing about this game that has always really not sat well with me, and I've talked about this in other videos as well, and that is that the difficulty for the early part of the game, basically the leveling process, the going through the class missions part of the game, is really very... what's the right word? Easy, trivial, not interesting. The stories are good. The combat is fine. It's dated at this point, but the combat ends up becoming pretty tedious because basically everything is just too easy when you're using your companion. So, I've been kind of messing around and trying out different things. I guess one thing I did want to talk about is this setting right here. A lot of people have mentioned in previous videos that I've made about this topic that if you change this mission difficulty preference right here, that this will make the game harder. It really doesn't, not in the early going. There's some misconceptions out there about what this setting does, but it doesn't affect your class storylines or your planetary open world experience at all. Again, going back to it, the open world experience, the class missions are just too easy as long as you're using your companion. So what I've done is I've come up with a what I'm terming impossible difficulty, which is basically running through the early part of the game, that is the class missions part of the game, without a companion. Now there's one really unfortunate thing here, which is that the game constantly keeps pulling the companion back to you. So what I do is I set the companion to passive, so that whenever I walk into like a cinematic or a cutscene and it pulls me into combat directly from that cutscene, my companion is there with me, but he or she will be on passive, so they don't actually contribute at all to the fight. That's fine. I mean, it's a little bit what's the word I'm looking for? Janky, I guess you could say.
Ready for departure.
But
Enjoy your stay.
it's easy enough to do to just leave them on passive, and then as soon as I get the chance to, I just dismiss them. So I've been going through and playing all of the different class storylines all over again on this impossible difficulty, not using companions at all. And let's talk about the other thing that this does. So the one of the trade-offs that having an easy combat experience in the early game is it basically there's no reason to engage with certain systems within the game. So for example, crafting, there's no need to stay on top of your gear when the experience is already too easy. There's no reason to use adrenals and other consumables when the combat experience is already too easy. However, start running around without a companion and you'll realize that, yeah, all of a sudden the fights are a lot tougher. All of a sudden there's very good reason to actually make sure that you're running around with top-notch gear. Make sure that you actually can use consumables. At times I've unfortunately run out of my adrenals, so this is not a good example of the use of adrenals. But anyway, what I decided to do here is make a really quick video. I'm going to show a couple of samples of what this is like using no companion. First of all, in a class mission here, so we're going to go ahead and do the melee here at the final part of the DK class storyline for the bounty hunter. And then I'll pick up after that and do a little bit of the heroics and show how you can even do heroics. They're challenging, but you can do them with no companion. I see that Mako is just about ready to come back, so we'll just make sure she is set to passive. Yep, she's passive. So as soon as we talk, if I had dismissed her here, I'll go ahead and show you. Dismiss companion. As soon as I start talking to Krista, unfortunately, it's going to pull Mako back in.
Some Mandalorian big shot. That's the spirit.
Yeah, see, there you are. So Mako's back, and she'll pop up again as soon as we get to the next cutscene. So there's no point in even dismissing her here. But she's not going to help me in this melee, which always seemed unfair to me anyway, that you're allowed to bring your companion into this melee with you.
And the last hunter left standing joins the Great Hunt. Now show us which one of you will join the Great Hunt. Fight! The melee is over! Your handler, Krista, will fill you in on the rest of the details. She's waiting for you.
Okay, now the one downside of doing it this way is, of course, that the rewards that you get for your missions are relatively inconsequential, because you're always going to be crafting better gear than what you get from the green drops. But it's fine. Like I said, it's a great way to be forced to engage with the crafting system. Now, I guess it's pretty obvious at this point, but I might as well say it. If you're mainly only interested in, getting through the leveling process as quickly as possible, I'm going to try to find I think it's right here, right? Cost City Expansion is where I can pick up a heroic. If you feel like the leveling system is just something to blast through as quickly as possible to get to end game, then obviously this is not going to appeal to you. But like I said, I actually really feel like the leveling experience and really starting out with a brand new character and coming up with, like I said, the headcanon for your character and all that jazz. That's some of my favorite part of these MMO games. So just a way to maximize the experience, to get the most fun out of the experience, is to actually make them somewhat challenging. So there's a lot of players out there, I get it. People will say, well, why on earth would you want to make the game more difficult for yourself? It's going to just take longer, and that is, of course, true. Longer but more rewarding is basically how I look at it. Okay. Thank you there, Mako. You went ahead and... Oh, hello. Yeah, so the leveling experience is obviously going to take you longer when you do it this way, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't mind things taking longer if they are fun. Unfortunately, they're not really particularly fun when you... Alright. Yeah, here we go. I can pick up a heroic right here. They're not really fun when they are trivial in terms of difficulty.
Over the last 3 days, a series of transmissions led up to you.
Alright, so now we should be able to just go ahead and dismiss Mako. I don't remember this this heroic particularly well, but I'm pretty sure there's not another cutscene for the foreseeable future here. So now here we go. We can note, without the companion, we can't use our heroic moment. So we just have to basically play intelligently, which is the way I like it. Let's go ahead and help this person out. Why not? And okay, so we got what do we have here? It's a little bit of a challenge here. We got 2 gold and 1 silver. Let's see what happens. So there you have it. Heroics. Not too easy all of a sudden with without a companion, but still doable. That's pretty good, being able to take out 2 golds and 1 silver without a companion. So obviously, and I didn't even fight that particularly well, pretty obviously, but yeah, it is doable. You just have to be careful. And to me, it just makes the entire experience far more interesting, far more exciting. You actually feel a sense of accomplishment when you get through a fight like that. Of course, I do need to point out that there are going to be some things in this game. There is some content, some of the heroics, for example, that culminate in a legendary boss, are probably going to be literally impossible to do without a companion. They're still doable in many cases, and I'm going to show an example here, because usually when you go off into this heroic over here in the eastern part of DK, there's usually other players around, and so together, if there's a couple of other players around, it's usually pretty easy to knock out some of the, I don't know if legendary is the right word. I bounce between too many games, so I don't remember the terminology for the guys who are like the boss mobs in this game. You know, the ones that are one step up from the gold stars here. Anyway, so this heroic does culminate in you having to defeat Craig, and he is one of those bosses that's probably, I haven't tried it, he's probably impossible to kill by yourself with no companion and no other players around, but I think every time I've ever been over here, there are usually other players around. So as you can see, still not too challenging to run up and take on a couple of gold mobs here, and I think I'll just maybe let this play through another fight or two, just, you know, for the purposes of illustration here. This could be interesting. I think, yeah, there's 3 right here. Okay, so I think these 3 are all linked. Yeah, I think I'm getting shot from off screen there over there. So yeah, so 3 gold stars here. This is a little bit of another challenge to do by yourself, but I think I can take care of this. I'm taking some damage pretty quickly here, but once you get the first one down, come on, shoot the right one here, Michael. There we go. That's the right one. Yeah, once you take down the first one, it starts to get quite a bit easier. And obviously, once you get 2 out of 3 down, I have so little health left, but yet I still actually think I can win this fight. Let me concentrate on what I'm doing here for a second. It'd be pretty stupid to get killed while I'm trying to make an example of how heroics are doable without the companion. But yeah, as you can see, once you whittle them down to 1, it's really not too hard. But I didn't survive by much, and so this is what I mean by you have to actually engage with some of the other systems. In this case, I wouldn't have won that if it hadn't been for my gear being really good, which I like because it forces me to actually use crafting at lower levels. And you know what? It's in the game. I hate it when games provide systems that there's just no reason to engage with them. It would have been a little bit smarter for me to have actually brought in some adrenals and some maybe better med packs, but you know, it is what it is. Okay, anyway, so you get the idea, and it looks like there are other players around here, so I have a feeling I'll go ahead and maybe put an edit in here and jump forward to the fight with Greg. And so yeah, so this is not going to be well, actually it is a worthwhile demonstration because it shows how you can still do the heroics as long as there are other players around. I'm not going to get a great demonstration here of what it would look like trying to fight this guy by myself. I don't know, maybe it's possible to win this by yourself, he is going down awfully quickly. He is considerably lower level than I am. But yeah, anyway, so as you can see, still perfectly doable to do heroics, but there's going to be some content that is probably locked off as long as you're doing the no companion challenge. But the vast majority of the content, I believe, becomes far, far more interesting. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. Let me know what you all think. Let me know if you all have your own tricks to make the game more interesting. I'm always interested in hearing about some of those. Maybe some of you are already doing something like this. Maybe, you know, maybe there's very few of us who actually care about the early game experience and actually would consider this to be an improvement. So I don't know. I might be crazy. I guess I'll find out based on the comments and the likes versus dislikes. But all right, anyway, I'm at this point, so that I don't keep rambling, I'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Thanks everybody so much for watching. I am going to be posting my playthroughs of all the different campaigns, at least the class storylines of each of the 8 different classes. Going through all of this with the no companion challenge, what I will call impossible mode or impossible difficulty. And so if anybody's interested in checking those out, I would certainly appreciate it. But either way, thank you all so much for watching and listening, and I will see you in the next video.